Hello there, welcome back to Strike's Talking Points. Today I found an interesting story to kind of do my morning read through of just the hot news topics going on right now. And it is now Pride Month. We have this report from NBC and a few others pushing the new story up. Transgender asylum seeker dies after 6 weeks in ICE custody. Jonah Leon, a transgender woman from El Salvador, died on Saturday, the first day of Pride Month. Now, initially, the story is kind of, it's meant to drag you in, get your attention, have you focus on it. And then once you read the story, you'll see it's all framing in the title, and there's very little else substantive to it. Leon, 25, complained of chest pains and was brought to Del Sol Medical Center in El Paso, Texas on Tuesday, Immigration and Customs Enforcement said. That same day, ICE said she was processed and released for parole. Leon died on the first day of Pride Month. Now, they're just kind of skipping through. Now, a transgender woman from El Salvador seeking asylum in the U.S. died Saturday in a Texas hospital 4 days after being released from custody, officials said. So, my main question here is this person came to the U.S., was brought in. That same day, I said she was processed and released on parole. So, the day they came in, ICE processed them, released them on parole. That person then went to a Texas hospital, I'm assuming, and then died. Now, here we go. Here's the pushback. This is yet another unfortunate example of an individual who illegally enters the U.S. with an untreated, unscreened medical condition. The person had AIDS, and they died of an AIDS-related complication. I'm going to assume that's Allegra Love, the executive director of Santa Fe Dreamers Project, a nonprofit that provides free legal service to immigrants, said Leon did nothing illegal, except for, of course, we all know entering the country illegally under, well, actually this one, transgender may have had a reason. When she fled to U.S., she didn't violate a single law coming to the U.S. to ask for political asylum. Leon, whose friends know as Joa, had been detained in the U.S. since mid-April. On May 18th, Leon received positive credible fear finding ICE. Advocates told NBC News Leon was seeking asylum in the U.S. as a transgender woman. This person came to the U.S. with AIDS and died of AIDS-related complications. That's really what happened. Leon's death comes almost exactly 1 year after Roxana Hernandez, 33, transgender migrant from Honduras, died of AIDS complications in ICE custody. Now, I actually went and looked. You don't hear a lot about AIDS-related deaths because it is on the decline in the U.S. However, there is still... This red graph here still shows that AIDS-related deaths are still fairly common. It's much easier to survive on it, but if these people are coming to the U.S. in late stages, they still don't have a 100% chance of survival, especially if they're just fleeing to the U.S. to try and do this, because of course they're crossing all of Mexico. Deserts, they're depriving their body, coming to the U.S., expecting the U.S. to be able to save them immediately. Next story, 2 Salvadorian migrants, a transgender woman and a man died in U.S. custody near Mexican border. Again, one died in a hospital, the other, I believe here, apparent seizure leads to man's death. The incident took place when agents apprehended undocumented migrants near Roma, Texas. Several minutes later, agents reported a man suffered a seizure and became unresponsive. These people are crossing the deserts of Mexico in small groups, large groups, trying to get into the U.S. They are depriving their body, coming in very bad conditions. Again, this person here died of AIDS-related issues, so it was a person which was positive for HIV coming to the U.S. as a transgender. Probably was presenting issues before, but because of the way immigration, ICE has to work, they have to get them in, process them, they're not a threat, get them out immediately, hold them for hearing. This man here had a seizure after crossing the desert. And, that's what you've got. I mean, AIDS-related deaths are still fairly high in the U.S. Think process. Again, the first day of Pride Month. This person's whole life is now being turned into a sty. Joan is the second transgender migrant to die in ICE custody since Donald Trump was inaugurated. This person, according to another story, died in a hospital. Not in an ICE detention center. The other person here, transgender Hadar's person, also died of AIDS-related issues. HIV and having pneumonia is neglected. It is neglected to place them in an icebox for any amount of time, according to... Now, I did some more research on this. The other person also died, to my knowledge, in a hospital. And this is not neglect, other than the person neglecting their own health by trying to come here to the U.S. They're crossing the desert. They're going through all these issues. And, of course, the immediate thing you have to do for NBC, CNN, well, Think Progress, of course, Daily Beast, and The Guardian, of course, they have to blame the president and whatnot because they are actively seeking to get these people to come to the U.S. Even if they die, they still need them to force themselves across the desert. Don't try and change your own country. Come here where, after months in the desert and having AIDS, you will probably survive. But, of course, we have now the two stories where people did not. I just can't believe that this is what people are supporting. This is a very bad thing. Chris Hayashi, the executive director of Transgender Law Center, said in a statement, the group is devastated and outraged, but not surprised by news of Leon's death. Now, person dying of complications to HIV only after receiving a few weeks worth of treatment. I would say that is not surprising after, of course, crossing the desert, having complications, then getting in the U.S. and receiving short-term treatment. I don't think you should be surprised either. These deaths are a direct result of U.S. government policy of these people would have died irregardless of the U.S. policy, strictly because AIDS-related deaths, even U.S. citizens with health care die of it. Love echoed the center statement saying, I give an interview a week about medical conditions for trans women, which she described as alarming and dangerous. Now, unfortunately, medical conditions for trans women would be the medical conditions for men. I don't know how many of these trans women are receiving hormone therapy, so I believe you would just treat them as men. But again, I don't really know that. If anyone wants to pretend to be shocked, did you miss a year ago when a trans woman died in custody in Albuquerque? When a person died of AIDS. That is the big shocker here, is these people that have died, other than this gentleman who had apparent seizure, probably resulting from dehydration, exhaustion, such and so forth on that, but AIDS and AIDS complications. That's the story. Let me know what you guys think. I found it pretty interesting to read through, and see that they kind of skip all of it, that this person died in a hospital after 6 weeks of treatment for AIDS complications. This other person they're referring to from a year ago also died of HIV-related complications. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. And you're going to see these headlines everywhere. Of course, the major places are already going to cover it. You know, Vox, CNN, they're going to live it that one way. And they're going to leave out that these people came to the U.S. with actual AIDS-related issues, and then treatment didn't work, and they died. They'll probably also leave out that there are still thousands of AIDS-related deaths, even though we've completely curbed the spike from when I was a kid, and AIDS-related deaths were just growing and growing and growing. We've curbed them back down, but they're still in the tens of thousands, and over 10,000. And then people are coming to the U.S. late term with already onset diseases, pneumonia, and whatnot, and your, healthy people can die of pneumonia, much less someone whose body's riddled with immune deficiencies. So that's the story. Let me know what you guys think. I just saw this and wanted to just make a real quick cover of it because I found it pretty interesting how it's just kind of framed out. They leave all the information out of what actually happened, and of course it's got to be negative towards the government, towards ICE, towards the president, and that's just the name of the game in this world we live in. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.